My first stint volunteering actually was with CYN, which is the Caribbean Youth Environment Network. A colleague of mine, when I was in St. Stanislaus, which was my high school, a colleague of mine was volunteering with CYN, and he wanted me to vote for him because he was trying to get elected for some position in CYN. So he actually signed me up, unbeknownst to me, because he needed more votes. And I was like, no, like I don't want to be involved, because at that time, I don't know, I wasn't interested in volunteering. So then he was like, no, you need to come. It's just really nice. We just do a lot of projects and we go places. And I was like, okay. So then I went to the elections. I voted for him. Anyway, he lost. But so then I met the people and I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. So I think there was a planning retreat the next week, right after that. And something said to me, you know, just give these people a try. Just go and see how it is, you know, see if you like it. And this was, so CYN is environmentally focused. And I've always had a passion for saving the environment and whatnot. So it aligned with what I wanted to do. So then that essentially brought on the very big wave of me volunteering all over the place. Currently, I still volunteer with CYN. I think it's been about 6 years since I started. Since then, like I said, I volunteer with UNICEF Guyana and Suriname. I'm a part of the Youth Action Network, which is the youth arm of the US Embassy. I started with Rotaract, but they were just way too demanding. But I mean, that's really good because Rotaract has structure, they have rules, they have your dress code needs to be a certain way. You need to learn the pledge and everything like that, which is great. It just wasn't for me, at least at that time. I don't know if I'll revisit that later on. But I have been a part of many organizations. One also, it's not really an organization, it's more of a company who has volunteers to help them. It's called Everything Makes Craft. So they're a local craft company. They deal with upcycling as well. They actually host a yearly event. It's called Bunny Fun Day around Easter. So they also are they're constantly looking for volunteers to help them teach children how to do upcycling. So I volunteer with them as well, not from the crafty side because I can't even cut straight, but I help more on the strategy side, more on the enabling, ensuring that everything gets done. So I help more on the managerial side of planning of the event. So there are all of these organizations around Guyana that push their cause. And it really is just for you to find your niche or find your area, or even if you have more than one area because you're multi-passionate like I am, you just need to basically work on your time management. Time management is important, especially if you're going to be, somebody called me a professional volunteer. Yes, yeah, so, I mean, especially if you're going to be a professional volunteer and you're going to hold positions within the volunteer organizations. For example, when it was about a year or two ago, I was the project coordinator for CYN. So that was time consuming, of course, because there are projects you need to complete, there are reports you need to complete, you need to actually be a part of the projects, not just delegate and step away. So on top of that, and you might be working a full-time job, you might have children, you might have studies. So you would need to balance all of that, juggle all of that, and still be efficient, because then what's the point of you being in an organization if you're not going to contribute? Also, a lot of the volunteer organizations, and rightfully so, they require you to have a time commitment. They require you to dedicate a specific amount of time towards the organizations. And I think that's expected. You know, because not only are you in a space, or not only are you in a position that could have been filled by somebody else, you have also committed, you've made a commitment, you've dedicated your time, or you mentioned that you want to dedicate your time towards this cause, which then results in there being an expectation of your being able to manage your time efficiently in such a way that we don't feel like we're being shortchanged by having you around when you promised us all this time. I was volunteering with the Department of the Environment at the time, because we don't have it anymore. So this was when I was in UG. I was in third year UG. I was volunteering with the Department of the Environment, and we had to go around to certain Amerindian areas, in the far-reaching riverine areas, and we had to talk to them about the UNFCCC, UN, HCR, UNDP, all of those things. So we basically had to talk to them about, actually no, sorry, it wasn't that. We had to talk to them about the Rio Conventions, yes. All right, so we had to talk to them about the Rio Conventions. So we ended up taking a boat, and we were going far. I think one of the areas we went was Guyanabai, and we went to all of those far-reaching areas. And what I realized was that I think specifically in Guyanabai, the Tushao was the only person who knew their language fluently. There was nobody else in that village that knew their language efficiently. This is coming from my linguistics degree and the fact that I have a passion for languages. I have a passion for, not seeing languages dying, and because I understand how languages die and the fact that that's a whole part of history, that's a whole part of their culture that's just going to be wiped out. I was sad because I thought, oh my goodness, why is nobody documenting this language? Why is nobody teaching the language further down? And I realized, of course, it's because everybody speaks English. All of the schools are going around, just speaking English, not encouraging the continuation of their culture. In addition to that, there's the whole religious aspect, the fact that most of the shaman and everything else, they're not encouraged to practice their religious teachings or learnings or what have you. Because of course the churches and the Seventh-day Adventists and everybody else are coming in and they're telling them how bad it is and everything else. So then that cuts out that entire aspect of their healing and their journey and everything else, which makes them them. It essentially cuts out a large portion of their identity. So that was one experience that really stood out to me, because I realized, oh my goodness, this is an entire segment of these people's identities that is just that's just not going to be here in a couple of years. And that was not, unfortunately, that was not a battle that I could have fought at the time. But that's one area in which I wished at that time I was more equipped to, stay there for, a good 6 months, document their language, sort of have more talks with the people to re-motivate them, for lack of a better word, to relearn their language, to teach their language to the kids so that that part of them, that part of their identity is not lost. So that would be one of the most distinctive experiences I've had volunteering. Second one actually was last Sunday. While we were doing the art therapy session with the kids, I was brought to a standstill when I realized just how fortunate I am. Just how fortunate I am, to have all my limbs, just how fortunate I am to have all my faculties working, just how fortunate I am to be able to basically just get myself up and move. There was one girl though, she didn't have her arms, and she was painting with her toes. Like she had a paintbrush between her toes, and she was painting, and it was lovely. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow, okay. So this is a little girl. Everybody else was painting with their hands. she wasn't sad, she wasn't upset, she didn't think, oh no, I can't paint. No, she told one of the volunteers, she was like, bring it, bring it, bring it. And she showed her how to put it in her feet, and she was painting, and it was amazing. And to me, that has stuck with me the most. Just that realization that, oh my goodness, we take so much for granted. We go around fretting or fighting with like the smallest things when we don't even realize just how fortunate we are, or just how well we have it. Realizing or recognizing that you're in a place where you need help, first of all, and then accepting where you are, like accepting that, because I mean, those are three very different points. I mean, a lot of persons don't accept, I mean, they know that they need help, but they don't accept, like, yo, this is where I am, but this is not who I am. It's just where I am. It's a circumstance. But it's difficult for you to move from point A to point B if you don't accept that you're in point A. Accepting that you're in point A is not you refusing to move, or you kind of adopting everything that is point A. You accepting that you're in point A is basically, I mean, there's that whole therapist joke that the first step to recovery is acceptance, but it's the truth. You need to accept that this is your position, this is your reality, this is your circumstance. And then, you know, when there's an organization that's coming to volunteer in your area, when there is probably UNICEF or UNHCR or any one of those organizations, even if it's Rotaract, Leo, and they're coming into the organization either with some educational pamphlets or some hampers, or even if it's for them to clean up the beaches in your area or anything like that. It's not that they're like, oh, this poor area, let me take away their pride. It's hardly that. It's almost never that. You just really need to see it as, okay, these are persons that are coming to help. Which brings me to my second point of, there is absolutely nothing wrong with requesting or accepting help. I know that a lot of persons have or would have had bad experiences requesting help or asking for help. Now, a bad experience requesting help would probably be if you're asking, hi, could you give me some help? And the person's like, no, you're supposed to figure it out, or you're supposed to do it yourself, or why are you asking me for help? Then all that means, that's not that you're not supposed to ask for help. What that means is the person that you're asking for help from, that's not the person you should be asking for help. All that means is that the person that you're reaching out to for help is not the person that's supposed to help you. Because I'm pretty sure if you asked somebody else who would have been more willing, or somebody else who was actually in a position to help you, or somebody who actually wanted to help you, then you would have received the help that you wanted. But that one experience, or those few experiences of persons either refusing to help or persons shutting you down when you ask for help, should not in its entirety deter you from asking for help from other people, or deter you from accepting help when it's coming from a good source, or it's coming from somebody that has good intentions, or healthy intentions, or intentions that can help you move from point A to point B. My third point actually is being in a position of needing help is not in any way a position that you should be ashamed of. It's not in any way a position that makes you any less of the amazing person that you are. All that means is that you have a specific area in your life, or specific area currently in your life, that there is somebody else who either has gone through it or hasn't gone through it, but they can think they can think a bit more easily to find a solution, because they're not necessarily in the experience. They're not clouded by being in the experience. So it's easier for them to think, okay, all right, so this is your problem. We can solve it by this, 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 this. So by you having that conversation, by you asking, by you saying, yo, this is my reality, I just don't know what to do. And then it would be interesting because once you're asking the right persons, or once you're asking somebody who really is in that frame of mind of let me help, then you're going to see, they're going to tell you, oh, well, you know, I just did this, 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 and I came out of that. Or you never know, they might know somebody who recently went through it, or they might just, out of the blue, think of a solution, which will then make it easier for you, because now you can be like, oh, wow, I'm so happy I asked for help. I'm so happy that I took that chance of opening myself up. I was vulnerable. I allowed somebody in who can take a look around and help me come up with a solution. So coming from a position of somebody who helps and somebody who also asks very much, very easily, I'm always asking for help, because I've come to a position where I realized that I don't have all the answers. I may like to think that I can find all the solutions, but there are quite a few times in my life where I just could not figure it out. I had one problem that was following me around for 2 years before I got off my high horse and I said, look, guys, I need some help. So now in the 3rd year of having this problem, I finally said, look, guys, I've been trying to figure this out. I haven't been able to figure it out. What should I do? And then interestingly enough, as soon as I said that, all of my friends, my mom, even my partner and everything else, they were like, but the answer is so simple. And for some reason, for the life of me, for the past 3 years, I could not think of that solution. So it's funny because I've wasted 3 years of my life pondering over a decision or pondering over the next step, when really all I needed to do was just ask for help, accept where I am, and accept the help as it comes. I started volunteering from a very early age. I think I started volunteering at around 11 or 12. Essentially, I really liked helping persons. I really liked contributing in any way that I can to any of the projects that were going on at the time. And eventually, over time, I realized just how beneficial volunteering is, not just for me personally, but also for some communities. I know in Guyana we have a lot of impoverished communities and a lot of communities that would need outside help. And that would be the best way, in my opinion, that we sort of get this community building aspect involved. Reason being, a lot of persons see volunteerism as, oh, it's a rich people thing because only they can afford to use their time in a way that's not in return for financial gain. And I would love to dispel that rumor because a lot of persons I know, there's more to it than just working for financial gain. There is way more to life and your experience in life than just earning a quick buck. And what I've noticed through my experience in volunteering is that volunteerism, if you do it right, and if you network, and if you ensure that you're where you need to be, you're on the projects that you need to be on, they give you that long-term benefit. I'll give you 2 examples. One specific example, I was volunteering with CYN, which is the Caribbean Youth Environment Network. And through them, I actually was able to attend quite a few high-level conferences in Guyana and outside. And I was actually able to join or be a part of quite a few paid projects as a result of my being a part of CYN. So it's more of a long-term it's more of a long-term benefit, and it's more of, okay, all right, so let me help somebody, not with the expectation that I will be rewarded, but let me be selfless. But I would just also like to say that being selfless in itself allows you to reap rewards in the long term. Another example of me volunteering and benefiting would be, I currently volunteer with UNICEF Guyana and Suriname. Volunteering with UNICEF Guyana and Suriname has been amazing. It has allowed me to not only see a lot of areas in Guyana that I otherwise would not have been able to see, but I was able to interact with a lot of persons. Recently, the Guyana volunteers, we planned, organized, and facilitated an art therapy session at the State House on Sunday, which was November 20th. Now, that was it was a mind-blowing experience, especially for us as volunteers, to see that process through from idea, inception, to finality, to the point where all the kids, we had 100 kids, some from orphanages, some from the Ptolemy Reed Rehab Center. So we had a wide variety of kids, and all of them had fun. And it was because of our volunteering, and it was because of our efforts that we were able to see the smiles and the happiness, and just the escape from their otherwise probably monotonous realities. So they were then able to paint and create and interact with other kids at that age, and that was all because of our late nights, our hard work, our dedication to the cause. So I would just like to say that honestly, volunteerism might not have immediate financial gains, but there is definitely that emotional gratification, and then there's also the possibility of you aligning yourself in such a way that you end up being a part of long-term projects over time. Because when you're volunteering, people see you. You will be seen. Anybody who's volunteering in a specific area, whether you're volunteering with probably Rotaract, Leo, CYN, UNICEF, or many other volunteer organizations, it really does not even depend on what field you're volunteering in, but somebody is going to see you. And once you put yourself out there, good will come. Good follows good. So once you volunteer, with a really good heart, you volunteer with good intentions, good will follow.